Over the last couple weeks, I've been listening to the audiobook version of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. What separated Marcus and why he's known as one of Rome's greatest emperors was his ability to not give in to instant gratification, even though he was surrounded by all the pleasures a man could want. At the time, Marcus was one of the most powerful men on the planet, and with that power came temptation and corruption. But Marcus decided he wanted to be a man of virtue, wisdom, and build an immunity to temptation. Passed down from his mentors, Marcus studied and practiced the art of Stoicism, leading him to be a man of high value, morals, and self-discipline. For those who aren't familiar with Stoicism, living a Stoic life is one of self-mastery, discipline, and perseverance. Learning to give up the things we know will not benefit us in the long term and replacing it with the ones that do. Not an easy life or way of living by any means, but something we can all practice in our everyday lives to give us more virtue, vitality, and ultimately a more fulfilling existence. The first practice I'd like to go over is that of self-control, considered to be an essential practice of the Stoic philosophy. Focusing on making the right choices in the areas we can control and learning to not act uselessly with the things we can't. For an example, we're going to use food and a rainy day. Every day we have the choice of eating the wrong food or the right food, something that's in our control. We can get the instant gratification of eating the wrong food that's not good for us, or we can practice being stoic by eating the right food, which may take a little bit longer to prepare, something like a soup, but we know is going to benefit us long term. Something not in our control to change is something like a rainy or gloomy day. The Stoic philosophy teaches us about the weakness of reacting to something outside of your control. Complaining that it's raining, not wanting to do that activity such as going to the gym or running errands due to the fact that you might get a little bit wet in the process, or feeling a little gloomy, usually leading to an uninspired day. The Stoic mindset is not to react to such things and instead embrace and focus on the things that are in your control, like grabbing your umbrella, working out at home, doing some chores around the house. Not allowing circumstances outside your control to throw off your emotional state and ability to get things done. Which leads me to the second Stoic practice of focusing on the moment and the task at hand. Marcus understood the temptation of letting our imaginations run freely to generate ideas and to plan for the future, as well to enjoy the thought of past memories. He also understood how it could turn into a crippling fear as we worry about the future and think about the regrets of the past. Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand and ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? I can relate this to creating this week's video. I wasn't sure what to make it on, and I began to worry. What am I going to make this week? Do I even have any general idea? I began to run scenarios in my head that didn't exist and tried to come up with an idea out of thin air. Instead, I could have, which I eventually did after a day lost wondering what to create, sat down or stood up in my case at my computer, looked at my list of video ideas, thought about what I've been doing over the last week, which included listening to Marcus Aurelius' book, and began structuring out a video on Stoicism. Now, I could have saved myself a day of overthinking if I simply stayed in the present moment. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. Maybe you want to try something that you're afraid of, like skydiving, and you think into the future about falling to your death and how afraid of heights you are, and you never end up doing it. Or you can stay in the present moment, set it up, show up. Of course, that fear and the excitement is still going to be there, but once you jump out of that plane, you realize it's one of the most amazing experiences of your entire life. The last one I wanted to touch on, which is the title of Marcus Aurelius' book, is meditation. Well, his book is actually titled Meditations, but you get the picture. More specifically, meditating on your mortality. He talks about, instead of fearing death, to remind ourselves regularly that we will die, whether today or years from now, and to meditate on it. Ponder death to give you a greater appreciation for life, for the very moment. We tend to take for granted the oxygen coming into our lungs, our two eyes to see, legs and arms that do amazing things, which some are not so lucky. Reminding ourselves death could come at any moment allows us to practice gratitude on a daily basis.